Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Marissa Tyrrell and I'm Assistant Head Teacher responsible for teaching and learning here at Christ the King. So as your child transitions into their final GCSE year, we thought it would be really supportive to put together this information, advice and guidance on how we can all support them to fully prepare for their upcoming mocks in November, as well as the real exams which will commence in May next year. And we want to do this so that they can achieve their full potential, but also navigate what can be a really demanding and often stressful year for young people. They have NEA deadlines, which is coursework deadlines. They've got mock exams coming up. They've got decisions to make about life after GCSEs, on top of the sort of final countdown to their GCSEs. So a question that we often get asked is, how do I support my child to prepare for their GCSEs, because often they're studying very different things than we did when we were at school. Things are a lot more in depth and generally seem a lot harder. So the purpose of this presentation is to give you some subject specific guidance from our core subjects of RE, English, Maths and Science, as well as some general information and guidance about revision. Believe me, it's never too early to start, so I would hope that all the young people have already embarked and started on revising for their upcoming exams. And also, as we expressed when you joined us in Year 7, all of the research and evidence indicates that parental involvement does have a really significant impact on the success of young people, and even more so in Year 11. It's really important that we continue to work together to make sure that we get the very best outcomes for your child and they continue to remain happy in school and achieve their full potential. Now, there's a number of different ways that parents can be involved, as you can see on screen. Really supporting them to develop good habits of being organised and prepared for school in this final year continues to be really important. Help them make sure that they're checking their planners for homework, upcoming tests, etc. Help them get into the habit of making sure they're checking their timetable, they're checking any emails and things like that, so they know important things that are coming up. Continue again, just to check in with them that they're making sure they've got the right books and things like that for their lessons. And most importantly, make sure they're keeping on top of their homework. Most homework in Year 11 will be about consolidating the learning that they've done in class. It will be revision based, and it will be all about helping them prepare for their upcoming assessments and their final GCSEs. It's also really important that they make a really good prompt start to the day. As you know, school starts at 8:45 and they really need to be informed time by that point. Not only to make sure their day goes well, but there's lots of key information and things about exams and things about careers and all of those kind of things that is shared during tutor time. So if they miss it, they might miss something really important to them. It's also important that at this point they have got a revision timetable that they're working to, and make sure that they stay on top of their revision. I think also just that support of showing an interest, having conversations about the learning, asking questions about what they've studied, supporting them with making sure they're able to do their homework, make sure it's completed on time. Also doing some kind of low stakes quizzing with them about what they're revising and things also helps support them and makes them feel like they're not just on their own, okay, that we're working together. Home, themselves and school are all working together so that they achieve their very best. A positive mindset is also really important. So again, it's about that encouragement to try their best. It's really important that we create that sort of can-do attitude and building resilience, and it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, in the run-up to GCSEs, it is fine to make mistakes. We're not supposed to know everything. The idea is to be working hard to train our brains so that when we come to our final exams when they start next May, we have got all of that core knowledge into our memory so that we can retrieve it for the exams. It's also important for you to attend school events like parents' evenings, and also to have that kind of communication and dialogue with teachers. There'll be lots of information around NEAs, around sort of homework and things like that, and if you can support teachers to ensure that your child meets deadlines and completes all of work, that will also be really important for them to achieve their full potential. So over the next few slides, I'm going to discuss how we can ensure our students are revision ready and fully prepared for their exams. We'll also explain a little bit about the science behind learning and how we can continue to support our students to achieve their very best. As this model by Tom Sherrington demonstrates, throughout the school day, students are exposed to lots and lots of different information from their surrounding environment. So for example, during a lesson, the aim for the teacher is to transfer the key or the core knowledge into the student's working memory, with the aim being that over a period of time, this information will be revisited and retrieved regularly so that it will then transfer into the student's long-term memory, ready to be recalled during an assessment or an exam. Students can support this process themselves by regularly revisiting the information to help it go into their long-term memory, thus giving themselves the best chance of recalling this core knowledge when they need to in the assessments and exams. Without the process of regularly revisiting, recalling the core knowledge, the brain is designed to just forget and let things go, as it can't retain all the information it comes across. It is really important for us that our students understand how memory works, as everybody's memory is different, and some of us will have stronger memories than others. But although we all have different memories, the process in strengthening our memory and strengthening learning is the same for everybody. And we'll be running sessions with our students this year to help them understand how their memory works and understand how they can improve it. We can all strengthen and improve our memory. Memory can be thought of as having three critical components. Firstly, we have our sensory memory. We then have our working memory, and we have our long-term memory. As you can see from the infographic on screen, we pay attention through our sensory memory, which then allows information to be transferred into our working memory. The process called encoding and storage enables information to be transferred then into our long-term memory. Regular retrieval allows us to consistently transfer the knowledge from long-term memory into our working memory. And the key for our students is to get as much information into their long-term memory so that they can recall it and are able to retrieve it and bring it back into their working memory, and this will allow them to be successful. In order to be successful learners, you also need to be organised learners, and there'll be a session coming up helping you to create a revision timetable and plan your time effectively. It's important that you are starting a revision cycle now, as revision is not something that can just be left until the last minute or a few weeks before your test, because as we have seen, you need time for the information to go into your long-term memory in order to then be able to retrieve it into your working memory to use in an answer in a test. Your revision should be planned, organised and effective, and by this we mean that you should plan your time and organise the different techniques that you want to use, and it should be effective in that you are using the techniques that are best for you. You also need to think about building in time for your leisure and relaxation, as this will support your mental health and well-being. When revising, you should include a variety of different content, ranging from recent topics to topics that you have covered a while ago, so that regular reviewing and retrieval will allow the information to go into your long-term memory and be recalled and used in your working memory. Now, sometimes students can, if they find a particular topic difficult, often avoid it. And this is really important that you don't. If you're struggling with a topic, then see your teacher, keep revisiting it, revise it, so that the information goes into your long-term memory. To do all of this, it's really important that you create a timetable as soon as possible, as this will allow you to maximise your study time for the mock exams that are coming up in a few weeks, as well as the real exams next summer. Your tutor will be doing a session with you to help you do this, as this will help build really good revision habits now, which will stand you in good stead for the future exams. At Christ the King, we advocate this revision cycle for each block of revision. Your role in supporting your child comes in the memorise section, and we ask that you get involved in your child's revision as much as possible. And you can do this by producing quizzes for them, testing them using their flashcards. You can do it by checking their work, asking them to explain some key concepts or key vocabulary, all of which will support them and help their development of recall. Often this is an area that gets missed by students, as they'll produce lots of wonderful resources, but they don't engage in enough activities to memorise the information so that it goes into their long-term memory, and then they can recall it into their working memory. We ask that you do this regularly, and we ask that you start now, as this will give them enough time to help prepare for the mock exams coming up in a few weeks and their real exams next summer. Other ways you can support your children is through key tools, such as buying flashcards, helping them get organised with folders, plastic wallets or notebooks. Highlighters are also important, as well as post-its, all of which help them engage with resources that will help them with their revision. It's also important that students have a safe space for them to work in and revise in with minimal distractions.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Lewis and I'm the head of RE here at Christ the King. The RE GCSE exam board is EDUCAS. We follow Specification B. This specification covers Catholic Christianity and Judaism. There are 3 components that students will study between year 9, 10 and 11. There are 3 separate examinations. Component 1 is Foundational Catholic Theology. This paper will be for an hour and a half, and it will cover the 2 themes, origins and meaning and good and evil. There is then component 2, Applied Catholic Theology. Again, this paper is an hour and a half, and it covers the themes life after death and sin and forgiveness. Finally, students will take a 1-hour Judaism paper for component 3. Although there are 3 papers, the question structure remains the same across all 3 papers. Students will be required to complete a number of 2-mark, 5-mark, 8-mark or 15-mark questions. The 2-mark questions will be started with the sentence starter "what is", and it will require students to give a definition of a key concept. The described questions are worth 5 marks, and in these questions students will be required to recount knowledge, influence, they may have to contrast and therefore describe different beliefs. For the 8-mark questions, students will be required to explain. This means demonstrating they have an understanding of the information they are given, the influence on a life of a believer. They must give reasons, and they must always refer to religion and belief in their response. The longest answers are 15 marks. They are discussion questions. Students will be issued with a statement and will be required to discuss the statement. This will mean giving different points of view, giving reasons for those points of view, judging them by demonstrating they understand whether these arguments are strong or weak. Of course, including key concepts and sources of wisdom to support their views. Revision starts now. The best way to support the students is to ensure that they have a comprehensive understanding of what it is exactly that their exams are requiring them to do. In order to do this, they will need to break up the knowledge that covers across those 3 papers and ensure that they are revising. They need to make sure that during their revision they are going over their key terms. There are 8 key terms for each theme. They need to understand what different groups believe about key concepts and key issues. This will be Catholics, Jews and humanists. Occasionally, other Christians will form part of their discussion questions and their explain questions. They need to revise their quotes so that they've got evidence to support what they are saying, along with examples. And finally, ensure that they have revised how the beliefs influence thoughts and actions.
Hello, I'm Jo Collins, one of the two directors of Learning for Communication, which includes English. And I'm just going to say a little bit, first of all, about the specification for the GCSE in English literature. So English language and English literature are presented as two separate GCSEs. Although broadly speaking they're similar. They both have two papers and they each carry no sort of coursework components. In terms of the written outcomes at the end, one exam for literature is quite a long one. It's 2.25 hours and the first paper is 1 hour and 45 minutes. The imbalance in the papers is because paper 2 has got 3 questions on there and the paper 1 has just got 2 questions. So they all carry the same amount of weight. One text isn't worth more or less than any others. So the 2 papers are similar in that they often have extract material from the text printed on them. So the first paper is Shakespeare. There'll be an extract from our text that we study, Much Ado About Nothing, and students will answer a question about the text, the way that a character or theme is presented, and then they will write more widely about the play as a whole. It's exactly the same when they come to write about A Christmas Carol. There's an extract for students to look at. They write about a particular theme or idea that's presented in that extract, and then they need to write and show their knowledge off about the novel as a whole. It's slightly different with literature paper 2 because in their study of An Inspector Calls, the students don't have an extract. So although this might feel a little bit daunting, the advantage here is that they do actually get a choice. So they choose to write either a response to a theme or else a response to a character, and they write on that for 45 minutes. Their second question on this paper is to write about the poetry. We do the power and conflict section, and there is a poem which is printed and presented to the students in the exam, and then they have to compare that poem with another poem of their choice from the 15 that have been studied. And then finally on literature paper 2 there is section C, and this consists of one unseen poem that they have to write about, have to explain the ideas that are being presented and how the writer has presented them. And in a very, very small kind of section, very low tariff question, just worth 8 marks, they have to compare that poem to a second unseen poem. So there are it's a bit of a test of resilience, that second paper. It's quite a long paper, but we have prepared students for that by doing that as a mock in year 10. So I'm going to move on now to talk about the 2 papers for GCSE English Language. These are equally weighted, they're both worth 80 marks, and they're also divided into 2 sections. So on each paper, the students have to complete a series of questions, 4 questions in all, that ask students to comment on the reading that they've done. And these will be unseen text. So paper 1 is based on a literary piece of writing, and then paper 2 is based on non-fiction. And there's 2 non-fiction texts because one of the longer questions, it asks students to compare them. Each reading section begins with a short question, which is fairly straightforward for students. It's a low tariff question, and both papers have a language question on them as well. This is worth slightly more for paper 2, but they're very similar skills, looking at a shorter extract and then making a comment about the way that the writers use language for effect. There's a structure question on paper 1 which asks students to look at the entirety of that extract and think about the way that the writers presented the ideas overall. So looking at the beginning, the middle, the end, how we're introduced to material, what changes. And then finally on paper 1 there's the highest tariff question there. It asks students to evaluate. So typically there's a statement that's made and students have to write to decide whether they agree with the statement or not. The longer tariff question, as I think I mentioned on paper 2, it moves to a comparison question, and this is where students have to think about the writer's attitudes and how they're conveyed in the whole text. And then to conclude each paper, there's a extended piece of writing, and this is either descriptive or narrative writing if it's paper 1, or else it's kind of writing to persuade and argue on paper 2. So it could be a speech, or it could be an article, it could be a letter, but students are asked to present a viewpoint, and that's loosely linked to the material that they've read, whereas on paper 1 there is more of a focus on descriptive writing. This might be in response to a photograph, an image that students are given, or it might be the first line of a story, or to write an account of a time when they were perhaps very afraid, something like that. And within both of those sections, there are 16 marks given for technical accuracy. So that's where spelling, punctuation, grammar, organising into paragraphs, those are the kind of skills that are rewarded just in the writing section rather than the reading.
Hello, I'm Mr. McGuinness and I'm the Head of Maths at Christ the King School. We recognise that Year 11 is the most important year in school for your child. Maths lessons are planned meticulously with the end goal of their GCSE exam in mind. The content covered will depend on their tier of entry, which set the pupils are in, and the strengths and weaknesses that arise from their mock exams. We aim to have 2 mock settings in Maths in December and at the end of February. These mocks will allow us to further intervene and create a more personalised medium-term plan for each individual class. For these mocks, pupils will be given lots of resources and directed to useful websites such as the Physics and Maths Tutor, Maths Genie, as well as encouraging them to download the My Past Papers app, where they can practice exam questions in their own time. We also offer a maths clinic, which is a drop-in opportunity for pupils to do some extra maths on a Thursday after school. The final exam will consist of 3 papers. The first paper is a calculator paper, then a non-calculator paper, followed by a final calculator paper. Some pupils will sit this exam at foundation level and some will sit it at higher level. Foundation pupils will be able to achieve from grades 1 to 5. Higher pupils will be able to achieve from grades 3 all the way up to grade 9. Each exam is 1 hour 30 minutes long, and again they will be encouraged to have all the basic equipment needed for that exam. As well as the websites mentioned previously, pupils will also be able to continue to use the Sparks platform to access some independent maths learning, targeting topics that they identify as weaknesses. We will continue to use Sparks to set class homework weekly, but we may also introduce some personalised written homeworks for pupils depending on their need. Please help us to encourage your pupils to do small amounts regularly. As mentioned, attending Maths Clinic on a Thursday will really help to boost pupils' confidence and their relationship with us so that they might be more inclined to ask for help. The best way to learn maths is to do maths.
My name is Mr. Blazevich Bell and I am the Director of Learning for Science at Christ the King. All Year 11 students in 11AB1 to 11AB5 follow the AQA Combined Science course. In this course there are a total of 24 units that your child will have studied from the start of Year 9 right the way through to Year 11 across all 3 science disciplines. All the highlighted units in the table below are units that your child would have already completed in Year 9 and 10. Those that are not in bold are units that we teach in Year 11. All of our science lessons are planned to ensure that all the core knowledge is covered in class and that there are plenty of opportunities that are given to develop practical, mathematical and working scientifically skills, which are all assessed in the exams. At the end of this year, your child will sit 6 exam papers in science, each of which is 1 hour and 15 minutes long, assessing different units of work across each of the 3 science disciplines. Now, your child will either be entered into higher or foundation tier. Now, these tiers are already in place based on progress in year 9 and 10. However, final tiers of entry can sometimes change this year depending on performance in the year 11 mocks. There will be 2 opportunities to complete mock exams this year, one in December based on either paper 1 or paper 2 content in biology, chemistry and physics. Your child will also complete an in-class mock exam in March. The feedback from these marks is very detailed and personalised so that your child is very clear on what they are doing well and what they need to do to improve. The feedback that's given is also very useful for teachers in the department so that they are able to provide personalised learning in lessons to strengthen those areas of development. At the end of year 11, your child will gain 2 GCSE grades in science. Those who sit the foundation tier will get 2 grades that range from a grade 1-1 to a 5-5. Those who sit higher tier will gain grades either 4-3 to 9-9. For anyone who is interested in studying a science at A level, they would need to have achieved at least a grade 5 in higher tier combined science and a grade 5 in maths. At the beginning of year 10, your child was issued with knowledge organisers. These knowledge organisers contain all the units of study across the GCSE course and should be used regularly now to consolidate prior learning and to revise and cover current units of study. Teachers in the department will set revision-based homework throughout the year, and this will involve completing exam questions and past papers, as well as using knowledge organisers. Now, as mentioned in the maths section of this presentation, there are some similar recommended apps and websites to support revision using past papers and exam style questions. So the My Past Papers app, which is free to download, and physicsandmathstutor.com, which is also a very useful exam question-based website. We also highly recommend a website called cognitoedu.org. It is free to subscribe and contains lots of video tutorials, quizzes, flashcards, as well as exam-based questions. The Science Practical Simulator app, which is free to download, all your child needs is the license code, which is CK879, is an interactive platform that enables your child to go back to some of the required practicals and practice them, as well as answering questions based around those practicals. These required practicals are important as they are assessed in the exams. It is important to encourage your child to do little but often. This is the best way to revise for science, by recapping prior content, answering questions, either knowledge-based or past exam paper questions, and doing as many past papers between now until the exams in the summer to develop confidence and familiarity. It's really important as well that your child comes to lessons prepared and to those exams prepared with the correct equipment. So a pen, pencil and a ruler, as well as a scientific calculator, are absolutely necessary.
Hi, my name is Piers Baxter. I'm Assistant Head Teacher here at Christ the King. My area of responsibility is around behaviour and attitudes. Every Year 11 student is placed into a form group. This year we've had a slight change to our form time. We have form registration both in the mornings and in the afternoons as well. This has allowed us a bit more flexibility with what we deliver to our students. First and foremost, it's really important to know that all of our Year 11 tutors are the first port of call for any issues. Please feel free to contact them for any help and support or guidance that you need. Our morning sessions will be focused around well-being and getting to know our students. Our afternoon sessions will have a focus on academic aspects of the school, such as revision, careers, and next steps in their education. At Christ the King, we have incredibly high expectations for all of our students, and we make no apology for this. We know that with high expectations, students achieve better. There is a clear correlation between good attendance and punctuality to lessons. If students are attending well and are punctual and at the start of every single lesson, they will have better outcomes at the end of their GCSEs. If they have positive behaviour in class and demonstrate an outstanding attitude towards learning, they will do better at their GCSEs. We expect our Year 11 students to set the standards and to be a role model for all other students within the school. Their uniform must be correctly worn at all times. In terms of jewellery, they are allowed one stud in each ear, no rings are allowed, no bracelets are allowed, and if they have a chain, this must be tucked underneath their shirt. We should not be able to tell that students are wearing makeup. If they are wearing heavy makeup, we will ask them to remove it. Likewise with eyelashes. If they have false eyelashes on, students will be asked to remove their eyelashes. These expectations lead to better outcomes. We also want our learners to be independent. Our afternoon form sessions will have a focus around revision, target setting, and aspirations. If students are independent learners, they will achieve better. We expect them to be completing homework and being proactive with their own learning. We will support them with this throughout their afternoon sessions in registration. Finally from me, I just want to make you aware of a few key dates this year for our Year 11 cohort. Obviously, as we move through the year, we're moving towards our Year 11s doing the final GCSE examinations. And throughout the year, there are things put in place to support them with that. First and foremost, we have Year 11 mock exams starting on Monday, the 1st of December. This will give us our main indication in terms of how well students are progressing and what the areas of development are for each student. It's a really important period, the mock examinations period, and it really informs our journey from when we come back in the new year to the first GCSE exam. Shortly after Christmas, on Wednesday the 11th of February, we'll have Year 11 Parents' Evening. As mentioned, this is a really good opportunity to discuss the mocks that we just spoke about. So students will do their mocks just before Christmas, and then after Christmas we'll meet with parents at Parents' Evening, discuss mocks and discuss the plan moving forwards for the distance between February and the start of their GCSE examinations. And then finally, GCSE exams officially start on Monday the 4th of May. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Neil Reddington, Head of Sixth Form. In a couple of slides, the key dates about how to apply to us will be shared with you all. Students do very well here. Last year, our average grade was a C, with 35% of all grades being A star to B and 67% A star to C. The progress our students make from their starting points is something we are very proud of. Over the last 2 years, we've had students go on to study at the most prestigious universities and the most prestigious courses across the country. For example, studying medicine at Oxford. Nearly all our students achieved their first choice destination after their A-levels. We sincerely hope that you continue your learning journeys with us. You are not a number here at Christ the King. We know you already and understand what helps you to succeed. Our small class sizes make us unique and offer the support you would only usually get in a private school. We are proud of how our students develop, aspire and grow. You will do well at Christ the King. Our transition programme supports you to become A-level ready. We focus on creating opportunities for you to lead and develop across our school community. and firmly believe that this separates you from the crowd when applying for your next steps beyond Christ the King. And finally, I'd just like to share some key dates which should be supportive in understanding the process of applying for the sixth form. The application window is now open. You can get there's two ways to apply. One is online and one is through a Word document which must be handed into the student's tutor. Both these are available on our website, and I'll put the link there on it's the admissions page on the sixth form area of our website. We also then will be interviewing every single student in year 11 on Monday the 19th of January, and that's to ensure that they're all on pathways that are right for them. So yes, we want students to be coming to the sixth form, but also we want to be talking to students who might be better suited for other pathways as well. And it certainly really helps us to signpost students to make sure that their grades are on track for what their aspirations are, and to help them with that sort of process of application as well. We then have a transition day for our students coming into the sixth form in July, and I'll send out more information near the time. And then finally, GCSE Results Day is on Thursday, the 20th of August, where we can speak to students to see if they met our entry requirements, A, to get into the sixth form overall, but B, to study specific subjects as well, such as science or maths, which have slightly different expectations as well. And all of that is available on our prospectus, which you'll see on our website. I really look forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to getting these applications in as well. And I wish your child every success in year 11 and in the next, hopefully, 3 years ahead as well when they finish their A-levels here. Take care. Thank you.
And finally, I'd just like to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen and engage with this presentation. I'd like to wish you good luck as you support your child through this final year and the build up to their exams next May. If we can do anything further to support or help you in any way, we're here, so please do not hesitate to contact us. Your first port of call should be your form tutor, who will hopefully be able to help solve any questions or queries. You can also follow us on social media as seen here on the slide, and important information, exam dates and things like that will be shared through that, and also through Arbor, so please check your emails from Arbor, because information is shared that way. Thank you and take care.